Welcome, and Collins here for White Rose Crafts. Today we're going to create this lovely Make-A-Wish card using a variety of Scrapberry products. So let's go to the products I'm using. This is the Scrapberry stain inks. We're going to use green and blue. We have from the Fairy Tale collection, the Scrapberry stamp set called Make-A-Wish. And I went ahead and stamped and fussy cut our girl and our sentiment. From Kaisercraft, we're going to use this embossing folder, which is called Woodgrain. Let me move it off so you can see it better on my desk. And there you can see it's got a nice lovely wood grain. I have a 110-pound white card base. This is an A2 size card, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and an 80-pound white card panel. We'll be ink blending on this panel. So we're going to start our project. I'm going to start off with the ink stain in green, and this green is almost like a tealy green. It has a little more blue in it than most greens, but it blends beautifully with our regular blue. So I'm going to go ahead and start a little bit heavier towards the bottom and then fade out to the top, and then I'll blend the blue over this. These ink stains remind me a lot of the distress inks, not the oxides, just the plain inks. They have the same, water properties, so you can watercolor with these, you can do splatter, etc. They blend beautifully, and they're super easy and smooth to blend. I am blending on this 80-pound paper. This is Accent Ultra Smooth 80-pound opaque paper, so it is smooth. You can use also Strathmore Bristol Smooth. There you go, Strathmore Bristol Smooth to blend, because it's also really smooth and it takes ink blending beautifully. So here we are adding the last of the blue. I'm going to go ahead and reapply some of the green ink, but without re-inking my blending brush. I just want to make sure it has a nice smooth transition between the green and the blue. I'm going to wipe down my desk here so I don't have any of this ink transferring onto the rest of the project, especially my card base. So now I'm going to lightly mist the back of my panel, and I'm going to put this in my embossing folder and run it through my die cutting machine on the embossing settings. So you put yours through your embossing machine, through your embossing settings. Okay, so now I'm going to remove my panel, and it's a little damp, but excuse me, but not too much. It'll dry here in a moment. I'm going to bring in my trimmer here, and I'm going to trim down this panel excuse me, to 4 by 5. Actually, excuse me, I'm going to be trimming it down not quite 1/4 of an inch all the way around, just shy. It's bigger than an eighth. Alright, so now I'm going to adhere this panel using some liquid adhesive. I like liquid adhesive when I emboss like this because it will stick better than just any tape runner. Okay, so once I get this centered on my card base, then I can add our little girl here, and she's holding a lovely little bird, and I colored it like a little bluebird. So I put some foam adhesive on the back of our girl here, and then I'm going to place her towards the bottom left. There we go. Once I place her down, then I'll add our sentiment, which also is popped up with some foam adhesive. So I'm going to remove the backing off of that, and I got a little ink smudge or something on my little sentiment strip here, so I'm going to use my mono sand eraser to remove that. I don't know what exactly I got on there, probably because my fingers are quite inky. So alright, so I'm going to adhere that to the top right hand corner. Make sure it's straight. And basically your card is finished. You can leave it like this, but I'm going to bring in some crystal enamel dots that I have from my stash. Now I've had these for a little while, so I'm going to add a little liquid adhesive behind them just in case, especially when it comes to the embossed section of our card. Here on the sentiment, I think it'll stay because it's a smooth surface, but with it being embossed down here and inked, I'm worried that they won't stick, being, like I said, I've had them in my stash for a little while now. So So I'm going to go ahead and just put a little drop of adhesive right here on the bottom left hand corner, and then a little bit towards near the bird to add our last little one. And I just put 3 embellishments on this card, nothing too much. I wanted to keep the focus mostly on this little girl and her little bird. And once I add this, our card will be complete. So this was a pretty easy card. I like to stamp my images and color them and have them on hand, so that's what I did with this one, although I kept my coloring pretty simple. So, and I will have all the Copic colors I used in the description box below, along with all the other supplies. Speaking of supplies, let's go over what I used. I used the Scrapberry stain ink in blue and green for our background. From the Fairy Tale collection from Scrapberry, the Make-A-Wish stamp set, we used the Lovely Girl and the Make-A-Wish sentiment. And from Kaisercraft, the Woodgrain embossing folder. So, like always, I'll have everything in the description box below. Be sure to stop by the White Rose Crafts shop to pick up some ink bundles that she has going on right now, and there's still some bundles left on some other stamp sets. Thank you for being here, and I hope you found some inspiration.